to talk about the homeless in our area and what eventually will be done, hopefully. With me now happens to be the mayor of Elizabethtown-Kitley. I'm talking with Brant Burrow, and we're talking about housing, the homelessness, and the different types of funding that's going to be needed, and just an overall, like, we could talk all day on this, but we're just going to hit on the high points,
Sure.
aren't we, Brant?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, tell our viewers, who is this Graham Kubik?
So he sort of wears two hats. He is deeply involved with a firm called Indwell, and they are a faith-based organization that formed in the southwestern portion of the province.
Okay.
They have over 1,000 supportive housing units that they are managing and or have built so far across, I believe it's 7 municipalities.
Right.
So they have quite a track record. Probably the one that has received the most press is a broad project in St. Thomas.
Okay.
And so, St. Thomas has seen calls for police and other metrics drop way down once these projects get up and running, to their full extent. So,
Wow.
So there's a way to measure success, and they've had tremendous success. It's why they're so popular across the province. So he wears that hat, but he's also CEO of an arm's length organization from Indwell
Yes.
called Flourish.
Okay.
And so Flourish is a consulting firm that essentially partners with developers or will take on some development itself. They do the studies based on their experience from within Indwell. And so they're providing the benefit of all of their experience and their learnings over a period of time to others, like the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. And as I say, they're popular, so we're not the only ones after them.
Okay, so from his study, what has he indicated from the information that he was given about the homelessness in this area?
The most encouraging thing is there's no reason why we can't have success here. All right, so that's the overall umbrella of the report. Mm-hmm. And then as you start to dig in and unpack it a little bit more, based on data that we provided to him, probably the most critical stat is our by name list of people that we can identify are homeless as they move around to various precarious living arrangements, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. We are able to sort of track them. And it's important to be able to do that so that we know whether we're having success or not. So we fed him that number of 112 people identified as of February.
Yes.
And that, along with some consultation meetings, both at the political level, the staff level, and agency level. So we have all kinds of agencies here, Addictions and Mental Health,
right.
the United Way, the John Howard Society, any number of them. We all had separate sessions with the Flourish consultants. So they took all of that information and they ran it through their consulting meat grinder, and then out came, all right, if you want to look to the future, you've got 112 now. We know this problem is not fixing itself. That probably will grow, unfortunately, before it shrinks.
Right.
So they told us you need to build for a capacity of 150 of these supportive housing units if you want to really address homelessness.
Cost?
About $55 million, just in capital. So that's to get 3 sort of campuses established. And the 3 is sort of important because there are 3 levels of service, if you want to think about it that way.
Yes.
So it's $55 million just to get all of that infrastructure built. But then the most important thing is the ongoing funding from the Ministry of Health, because this really is a health matter. We've learned that. We know that from other areas of the province. So we need the Ministry of Health to come to the table as well with $5 million a year worth of operating costs to actually staff up all of the necessary support programs that we have to wrap around these people in order to have success.
Because if you don't, it's just an empty building eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
About the only thing that you've done for them is provide a warm spot, where they won't necessarily hear the rain. But it's interesting. Some of the people who are experiencing homelessness are very uncomfortable in what we would consider very normal and traditional housing environments. So in an apartment, they start to feel beyond unsettled, and they have to get themselves out of there. And it's one of the reasons that we need the supports around them, because there are ways of helping adjust that mindset.
Yes. Yes. So the three levels are?
So there's a standard, an enhanced, and a specialized level. And as the names kind of suggest, a standard level would be for somebody who just finds themselves in very unfortunate circumstances.
Yes.
They don't necessarily have mental health challenges other than those that are created by what we hope are temporary circumstances.
Right.
So they don't necessarily need 24/7 intervention. They just need a check-in once or twice a week type of thing. And so, that's a fairly lightweight sort of wraparound, but necessary. If you didn't have those half dozen people providing those supports, even it would collapse.
Yes.
So that's the standardized level. I'm going to skip to the other end of the spectrum,
right.
the specialized. Those are the people that are suffering the highest acuity, either mental challenges, addictions, that type of thing. And so they don't necessarily need constant supervision and intervention, although in many cases that's the requirement.
Yeah.
But they certainly need 24/7 availability, because their issues are not necessarily constant, but they may suddenly experience an issue, and the intervention needs to take place basically immediately.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's for the highest acuity cases, and then the specialized is sort of in between, almost the same type of organizational structure in terms of nurses, personal support workers, psychology resources, that type of thing.
Yes.
So very similar structure, but that same number of staff can support a greater number of people because their supports don't need to be quite as intense as the specialized.
Okay, you indicated specialized
Yeah.
is how you started it out, and the third level. There's the independent, there's the enhanced,
Yep.
and then there is the specialized.
That's correct,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the enhanced, then that is the middle one,
That's right.
and they don't need as much.
That's right. And
But
so
they
if
still
you
need.
think of basically the same staffing structure for the specialized and for the enhanced, the difference is for the specialized, that structure may only be able to effectively support 15 to 20 people, whereas that same structure in just the enhanced level would be supporting, I believe it's somewhere between 40 and 60 people.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So it
Yes.
sort of,
Yes.
it indicates the level of intensity of the interactions.
And of course, this all came out from the study that Graham had done with his people.
That's right. And that approach replicates what we already know succeeds in those other municipalities.
Yeah.
So this is not reinventing the wheel,
No.
right? This is just putting on another wheel somewhere else.
And being advised and learning about what
Absolutely.
is happening somewhere else can happen
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Land,
Yes.
is that going to be a problem?
Well, we don't think so. There was a little bit of I won't say a disconnect. I understand how it occurred, but we had two entities, ourselves and the Brockville General Hospital, both sort of expressing their interest and vying for, if you will, the Commonwealth school property that we know
yes.
is becoming surplus.
Yes.
Well, when you stop for about a minute and you consider it with its proximity to the hospital, the hospital can't up and move somewhere else. So we're going to defer to them. There's no question about that.
Yes.
And Flourish made it clear that this program doesn't require the specific properties that they identified in the report in order to succeed.
Okay.
That was, people are familiar with these properties, so it will be easy for them to visualize how something could be retrofitted or what have you. Sure, they pointed out the Commonwealth School, but they said, any property that has those types of features would work. Or if you have a greenfield property, you can just build something like that from scratch.
Yes.
So we're fairly confident that this is going to take a little bit of time. We already have one property that we can start off with. The city of Brockville has made available their former administration building for the pollution control plant.
Yes.
And so we could start off with the specialized program there. And my goodness, it's probably the most vulnerable people that we want to help first. So that meshes well. It's available, and that's the level of program we want to implement first. And that gives us a little bit of time to continue looking for other properties. One that comes to my mind is, well, if Commonwealth has a school going surplus, is a good one to look at. Well, Toniata is also coming surplus. Right. Maybe we'll look at that one. And maybe it'll be something else. We really have to keep our minds open and just understand the specific location is not the key to success. It's the experience that Indwell brings with them and the proven track record. That's the key to success, and the money.
and the Ministry of Health.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
Ministry of Health.
Yep,
to be
yep,
there.
for sure.
So looking at the money aspect, the 55 million,
Yep.
how have you broke that down? Where do you see the funding coming from?
So again, that was something that Indwell brought to us in the report, and so I guess I'll start with the smallest number and
Sure.
go to the largest numbers.
Sure.
So about $3 million from community fundraising, and we already have some community leaders that have stepped forward and indicated that they're right at the starting line, chomping at the bit,
good.
Ready to do this.
Yes.
Excuse me. Next on the spectrum would be just under $7 million required as a municipal co-investment. And recently, the Joint Services Committee, which I chaired this year, has voted unanimously to support that expenditure. But it has some caveats. It has a little condition on it. The condition is we just don't have the capacity with municipal taxes to be left holding the bag for all the rest of the project.
Yes.
So we also expect partnership from the provincial government and the federal government. Mm-hmm. So we need about $22 million from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And they have an unstructured program whereby we can make that request and make our case. And we're just about to send off the letter to do that.
Great.
I might even be signing it today.
Good.
And that leaves our federal government at roughly that same 22 million. I shouldn't say the federal government; it's CMHC, but there's a sort of a connection there. So there are grants and financing opportunities through CMHC. So it really is going to take the partnership of those four components to come together, and the Ministry of Health coming and saying, "If you build it, we will come."
Yes.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so key, because again, with municipal taxes, they were never designed to address healthcare issues, and we can't afford another $5 million every year to operate a new program.
Right. Right. Okay, we're talking the first step being here in Brockville.
Yeah.
Would the remaining two locations be Brockville or outside?
I think most mindsets are that they will be within or extremely close to Brockville. Again, as you start to stretch out the geography involved, then you lose the economies of scale and the efficiencies of access to services.
Yes.
Would transit be available if we went too far out?
Right.
Those types of things.
Right.
There is an element in the report that touches on the fact that homelessness is not only occurring in Brockville, it happens to be the most acute problem. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we're starting our efforts. Okay. But homelessness does occur, contrary to maybe popular thinking, it does occur in the rural areas.
Yeah, it is.
It may take on a different look. So it may be what people sometimes refer to as couch surfing or what have you. So it's maybe less visible, mm-hmm. but it doesn't mean that it deserves any less attention. So there are opportunities in the report to locate, fourplexes and that type of thing, which could be renovating existing structures, or again, finding, there are a number of rural churches that find themselves with surplus lands.
Yes.
Maybe one or two of them would like to step forward and say, hey, we would be willing to provide the land for $1 or a 99-year lease, or whatever the circumstances are, mm-hmm. establish a fourplex. There's likely a little bit of a human element in terms of some localized resources that will be available, in and around the church. So that's sort of an obvious one. But again, we're open to almost anything, mm-hmm. And it is the long-term goal to distribute these types of things where they're needed. Once we get finished with Brockville, the next area that comes to mind would be Kempville, mm-hmm. simply because it's growing so quickly. They have immense pressures there, and it's not nearly as visible as it is in Brockville.
Yes.
But they definitely have their own challenges there as well.
Okay. Thank you for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And as this goes forward, you'll come back and give us some updates.
You bet. I would love nothing more, because if I'm here, it means that something's happening.
You got it. Thank you.